Scheduled for 12 rounds, the IBF middleweight championship belt owned.
Toney in the black trunks. Reggie, you might think Dunn was a southpaw. Toney won the title with the by the nickname Lights Out, and Michael James must work.
The left leg of James Toney to his manager, Jackie Callan. Good work.
The weakness for Reggie is Reggie hands up very well there. He tends to be a little conservative. Some people say to protect his chin style here when he has a champion.
Alex did make an adjustment. Are in place here today. I'll run through them briefly. This will be a fight scored by the three judges at ringside. There is no standing 8 count last round.
Right off the bat here, was not frozen in his world championship. Throwing hard punches, not being intimidated by the champion.
Again, you could see Toney making action that time by Reggie Johnson as we approach in Las Vegas. And a couple of punches were thrown immediately after the bell ending round that either one of the fighters is letting it pop. Feigning by Reggie Johnson on the right.
I was very surprised.
Oh! And a big left hand by Reggie Johnson floors Toney.
First time in his career, James Toney has not only tied Reggie Johnson up effectively.
Right now, James Toney.
And Reggie Johnson still kind of nonchalantly adjusting his trump.
Some of those blows, but a good right hand by Reggie Johnson got through. We're not quite halfway.
James Toney is fighting a very, very nonchalant fight here, and that is, who knows what the result's going to find. But, he knew he had to do more than he did in the early rounds of Michael Nunn. He's doing much less.
Oh, and he missed with a...
And if James Toney didn't believe that at his tender age of 22.
It's just how many people want what you have.
Come on, baby.
Right to betray him that time.
Tommy's turn.
And will second guess the decision. Another heavy left hand by Reggie Johnson. Of Jackie Callan and
Jackie Callan. Good left lead to the midsection by Reggie Johnson.
Reggie Johnson has never been
before Alex about this fight today.
He's loading up a little bit too much with that left. He found a home for it, but he should be working more with the right. Sometimes when a punch and you're a nice move.
Toney and Reggie Johnson meet solid rounds up to this point.
The defensive skills to sit on a lead. I mean, you know, he's out there on our scorecards. He had himself out with a big punch. Rely on that again.
And I don't mean Nathan at time by Reggie Johnson, ending high school. Not quite the temperament you normally expect a quarterback to have to go on to boxing. And right now, that temperament has...
As we said earlier, followed up effectively. Did not continue the pressure.
Toney after
the knockdown, which was a lead. Scoring right jab by Reggie Johnson to the head and to the body.
Stay with us. Championship bout. Johnson there on your left. And that last was James Toney's best round of the fight.
And I think part of the movement by Reggie.
I don't understand why I got whether his trunks are too big or that belt keeps letting down. A good right hand there by James Toney, and you can see he's got Reggie Johnson stunned.
And Reggie is moving his head well, but I think his trunks there. He's got a man hurt. And he's made Toney put his arms down and look like, hey pal, this is my first title defense. You better.
Again, reaching for those into his own head. James Toney.
Bill Miller, you saw the Nunn fight. You know that Bill was exhorting Reggie this. You got to turn it on, young. James kept.
You can replay the same speech right now. Whether
try to counter the counter.
well, James, anything that might.
Each man has to fight. Faces. Usually, if you got a young fighter, he's in against a fighter, or he's in with a guy he can beat easily. There's Albert Davila. Whoa!
Oh!
You got out of there in a hurry. You hit the follow-up punch.
Running off the rope.
The resurgence by James Toney. All the big names of that division. It's a terrific rep. Don't get lazy. And pop it. Moment in round 6 where the punch there by the cuff by James Toney staggered. Yeah, I think it's a nervous tick, although it's not one that he's had before.
I haven't.
Outstanding Olympic two-time world champion, and Meldrick had the same kind of nervous.
Go together again with Richard Steelwork.
Cesar Chavez, Meldrick Taylor fight, and then in our opinion to stop the Tyson run. He's worked a couple of fights. You know, he's a solid, competent referee, a world-class referee, who, in my opinion...
Well, you know what? I'm kind to Richard's style and a little more dignity towards one of the...
Go the distance. Whoa! Back into this fight, and I think it's right.
James Toney, a fighter by our count with 4 comebacks.
We're at the halfway mark.
To be a little more focused, Alex. The end of the 7th round. James Toney is put his in Deerdorf along with Alex Swallow ringside.
Get a right hand by James Toney.
And we have seen 2 fights. The first part of this fight belonging to Reggie Johnson, and the second part belonging to James Toney, who right now pummeling Johnson up against the rope.
And an inside right hook hurt Reggie Johnson in that exchange. Made him hold on. Back like that, he took. And just when James looked like he was taking the fight over, he has one of those strange little, trying to get some air. And I think if Reggie has something, this might be stiff. Best right jab with a fight by Reggie Johnson. And James Toney is tired.
Two jabs get through.
No knockdown.
By James Toney, and it hit the glove of...
Look back at Vegas here at the Las Vegas Hilton, and his foot didn't make it.
And that was very...
Whatever it was a nice... Maybe took a little bit something out of Reggie.
There was a good right hand to the chest by James. Reggie Johnson. James Toney, as he has the last 4 or 5 rounds.
But Reggie apparently believes what he...
Johnson has trained at high altitudes at Big Bear Lake at over 8,000 feet, and he does appear to be the fresher of the 2. His legs still have spring. He's moving around, but the...
I mean, Reggie won the first. The second had to be a 2-point round. I think you can make a case 4 and 5 where James Toney swept the next spot. And if Reggie won one of those, you know. James Toney did get a second win against a contender that it was his other outstanding win. I think he needed a second win in round 8, and that he has more left in his tank right now. Reggie Johnson.
Left hand by Reggie Johnson, Alex. James Toney overcoming. And if I had to pick on all 3 judges, relatively quick defense of that title.
I think it's the 3rd quickest first title defense in middleweight history.
Fighter to win a middleweight crown in over 50 years, being only 22 years. That
now is able to take this fight over. I think it's there for the take to step up and do that in spurts. And there's an evidence.
Very special place with James Toney Parker. He's
James Toney's glove. Good left, clutch to the right hand of Reggie Johnson and loads it up.
Is scheduled for the 12-round distance to go here. James Toney, Reggie. They have had a couple of rounds back-to-back that can go either way on the judges' score. Agree with you.
On our scorecards, at least, the winner of these next 2 rounds is a middleweight champion. And that is not a good...
So now, Adeptus, you're right, now he's standing there and taking.
He spun well eventually in that one, but he didn't let his hands go once he had James. Remember, it was the 11th...
Later in the show.
With the kind of determination... You know, you sit here, it's easy to sit here ringside. I used to think the reason they're not is that they're dog tired.
Well, how about Johnson's 24, James' first title fight. Toney obviously in his second. I think that if you're Reggie Johnson, you know that the other guy has the belt and you don't. And if you're going to win it, you best be decisive in trying to win.
Events. He'll look back at the tape of this and say, why wasn't I let my hands go? Owners told their men, you need out and you're a world champion.
Last really want to do it is at ringside.
That looks like the 2 men. James Toney
over the left eye of James Toney.
He's having.
You can see Richard Steele looking at that cut.
And that might be just enough of an end.
Win, get the blood out of his eye.
You don't get, come and get me kind of thing. That might have scared off Reggie Johnson momentarily. But you see him pulling with the blood.
Oh, and a good left hand. That time by James. Even though cut, it's James. By James Toney.
James Toney curve. Watch the head, and boom.
Still middleweight champion of the world.
Johnson disbelieving that he lost the split decision to